You're listening to the station that's been nominated for a total of 11 awards with the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System, including Best Community College Station for 2 years in a row.
FM,
HD,
Amazon Echo,
Google Home,
the TuneIn Radio app,
the iHeartRadio app,
and nccradio.org.
This is 90.3 WHPC.
WHPC HD.
Garden City,
Long Island,
New York. .3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Welcome to another edition of From the Press Box, part of the WHPC Sports Talk family. Besides Mondays at 9 p.m., Sports Talk appears Mondays at 5 p.m., Tuesdays at 5 p.m., Thursdays at 9 p.m., and Friday at 3 p.m. Talking sports, allowing you to call in, give your say at 516-572-0606. I am Rob Leonard, and joining me as always is award-winning sports writer and, yes, my brother, Tim Leonard. Hello, Timothy. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, brother?
I'm okay. Another great week of sports. I think we should start with the Hall of Fame, brother.
Absolutely.
Because let's be honest, no one cares about the Pro Bowl, even though the AFC beat the NFC. Matter of fact, I don't think they should play tackle in the Pro Bowl. I think they should play flag football. You know,
guys will still get hurt.
Well, that's what I'm afraid of. You know, imagine getting hurt in the Pro Bowl, a game that counts even less than an exhibition game between two seventh-grade teams.
Well, your boy Juju Schuster-Smith got hurt yesterday.
You see, you don't want that.
Steelers wide receiver tweaked his knee or something. He was limping. Yeah. He was limping when he was leaving the stadium.
You don't want that. You want something cool.
And by the way, how messed up was that they played that in Orlando yesterday? It was 50 degrees and it was rainy. It was miserable.
It was in Orlando. Wow.
Yeah, terrible weather. They used to have it in Hawaii when NFL players actually cared, because then they got a free trip to Hawaii.
Well, yeah, you get a nice trip to Hawaii. You get a week there. They pay for the hotels and everything.
Right.
Orlando, where they cut a deal with one of the resorts there.
I have no idea.
Oh, that's
I'll be honest. I didn't watch the game.
I didn't either. Typical cheap
interest.
NFL-ness. You know?
No, they're not cheap, but they're they could have done better by the players. Let's put it that way.
Definitely. Anyway, let's start off with the Hall of Fame.
History.
Voting.
With an exclamation point.
Mariano Rivera was voted in for, and as the first time any player has been voted in without any objections.
In other words, brother, he was voted in unanimously, I think is what you're trying to say.
I actually liked without objections better, actually.
Okay. I think the thing that got me was when they showed the video of Rivera, and he got the phone call from Jack O'Connell,
right,
who is basically the designee who calls in from the BBWAA, which is Baseball Writers Association of America. And he tells him he's the guy who calls, and he calls with not only good news, but he'll call with bad news too. And sometimes he'll have to make a call and say, "Look, you didn't quite make it. Stay positive. Next year is looking good for you." He's made a lot of those phone calls as well, but he made the phone call to Mariano and told him, to nobody's surprise, that yes, you're a Hall of Famer. Congratulations, et cetera, et cetera. And then he told him after we went through all that, he says, and I have one more bit of news for you, just to let you know. And then there was a little bit of a pause, and he says, I wanted to let you know that you are the first. And I don't even know what else he said, because everybody in Mariano's house that was there with him for the announcement just started screaming.
Well, they know.
But as soon as he said first, obviously the rest of that was, you are the first player to be elected unanimously. And because he got all 425. Well, I don't want to say all 425 votes, because there were 3 ballots that were not turned in. And I actually was having a conversation with esteemed, and there are not any baseball writers who are more esteemed than Claire Smith of the New York Times, a former baseball writer from the New York Times, as esteemed as it gets. And I was tweeting with her, going back and forth, because she said, well, what happens? How does Derek Jeter beat this? And I'm like, well, I said, maybe he gets 426 votes because Rivera got 425. And she was like, oh, wow. She goes, yeah, I was talking about percentage, but that's a good point.
Yeah, but does Mariano Rivera, and you just mentioned Jeter, there are other players who didn't get this many votes, who were voted against. Percentage or whatever. I'm talking about Tom Seaver.
What about him?
Sandy Koufax. There's a whole bunch of guys who weren't voted in. I shouldn't have mentioned Sandy Koufax. I think Sandy Koufax is overrated. But
wow.
He only had what, 6 good seasons? Mind you, they were great seasons.
Legendary seasons.
Yeah, so what? But he only played 6. He had
injuries, brother. You can't do anything about injuries.
Well,
they happen. And back then, I don't know what
Thurman Munson died in a plane crash.
Right,
you know?
but I don't know what Sandy Koufax's injury was.
Right.
But chances are that it probably could have been fixed today.
Oh,
he would have had a Tommy John surgery, or he would have had something. But back then, when Sandy Koufax got hurt, he was done because there was no surgery back then to fix whatever it was that ailed him. So I'm going to put myself on Facebook Live because you.
But anyway,
decided not to be in the frame anymore.
No, but I'm going to look up something. But anyway, what I'm looking at is, does Mariano Rivera? I mean, he's a great. Let's be honest. He was one of the best ever.
Legend, as my friends in
Except for
England
2001, where he choked.
He didn't. Wait! Whoa!
Choked.
Whoa!
He's the reason they lost to the Diamondbacks.
Stop talking. Mariano Rivera did not choke. You know who choked in 2001? I will tell you, brother.
Please.
Joe Torre.
Joe Torre. God.
Joe Torre's decision,
Father Joe,
in 2001 to play the infield in.
Right.
Because where what was it, Luis Gonzalez, I think it was, where he hit that ball is exactly where Derek Jeter would have been if not for the infield being moved in.
Okay.
And boom, double play, inning over. But Joe Torre felt like they needed to have the infield in because they needed to cut off the run just in case. And Rivera induced so many broken bats and so much weak contact that it would have been possible for a run to score.
Okay.
So I put that all on Joe Torre because Mariano Rivera did his job. He sawed off a bat.
Okay.
The problem was that Derek Jeter was no longer in the position where he was supposed to be or where he usually was.
If you say so.
I'm not putting that on Rivera. Okay. The guy did his job.
Okay. Anyway, I'm not sure I would have, on first go around, how can you not? But how do all these other players who've never had the same voting percentage and the same amount of votes, great players,
Hey, everybody in the Hall of Fame is a great player.
Yes.
Some might argue with a couple of people, including a couple of guys in this year's class, Harold Baines and Lee Smith. But I'm not going to go there now. I'm going to talk about Mariano Rivera and celebrate his greatness. But yeah, you can make the case. But I was going through this the other day. Babe Ruth was not on 11 ballots, but that was the first ever.
Right, you can't count the first one.
But that's what some people do. They're going by percentages. See, part of the problem is that I think a lot of sports writers got, I don't want to say confused, they got hung up on quote-unquote tradition. And the problem with getting hung up on tradition is they didn't want to do something that had never been done before. So there was always the option.
Rivera being.
Well, not even Rivera. I'm talking about other players beforehand. Tom Seaver, Ken Griffey Jr. Pick. There's been a handful of players in the last 20 or 30 years that you could say, yes, that guy should have been either unanimous or close to unanimous. But there's always been a handful or more of writers who cling to this antiquated notion of, well, if Babe Ruth wasn't unanimous, why should Ken Griffey be? Or why should Tom Seaver be? Or any. I mean, Cy Young, of all people, I looked at his Cy Young didn't make it on the first ballot. Cy Young, his second ballot, the next year, 1937, he got like 75 or 77%.
Well, they named the award after him, so.
all the more reason why his percentage should have been higher.
Imagine his name was like, Fred Smith or something.
You would have gotten used to it. Believe
the
me.
Fred Smith Award.
You would have gotten used to it.
Cy Young sounds like
It
an
sounds
award.
cool. It's a cool name.
Yeah.
If I had a kid, I'd probably name him Cy Young.
Cyrus?
Just 'cause he'd be cool.
Well, he'd be Cyrus.
But the issue that people had was that, well, if Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, all of these guys, if they weren't unanimous selections, why should anybody be? Why should Mickey Mantle be? Why?
Great point.
Just pick any
DiMaggio.
great player in history. And there was always a writer or, like I said, a handful of writers, not the same guys. There's always different guys depending on whatever prejudices they had, that they would say, well, I can't vote for that guy because I don't think anybody should be a first ballot. There was a lot of issues as far as just first ballot.
Right.
And that was something that was reserved just for the rarest of talents, and that was an issue. There are some people who they didn't necessarily want to vote for somebody on the first ballot,
right?
Because they didn't want that person, anybody, to be on the first ballot.
Sure.
Then it became, well, when is somebody going to be unanimous? And if Ken Griffey Jr. isn't unanimous, or if Tom Seaver isn't unanimous, then who is? Or who can be
I
unanimous?
remember when we interviewed Bill Madden a couple of months ago,
right?
And he talked about the fact that Seaver wasn't unanimous, and
right.
he was like shocked by that. Not that
a lot of people were shocked,
and not
by
just
it.
because he's friends with him. Because
I was shocked by it.
Seaver is one of the great pitchers of all time.
Very true.
So
nobody's arguing that.
And then, of course, Mike Messina, which I was shocked by Mike Messina, brother. I don't know why. I didn't think he maybe should have been in
Disagree.
the Hall of Fame as is. I also think the Hall of Fame should do something about that. You can't go in. You have to go in with a team, and unless you choose not to. What they should do is have a regular. Like he picks one, or the league picks something, and then like halfway through the year they put it on the other hat. So like he has a regular Orioles hat, and then he has a Yankees hat. They just keep switching the hats.
What are you talking about?
On the head thing, the head bust that's in the.
It's a plaque. It's not a bust.
Yeah. Well, they can put it on there.
No.
Yes.
Then you'd have
little tiny hat.
You'd have to take the plaque apart.
Not apart, but just leave a little area.
You realize that these guys aren't standing there, right?
Yeah, I know that.
Like Mike Messina's not standing in Cooperstown for you to go and say, "Hey, Mike Messina."
He's not like just posing. Like
there's no hat. There's no hat to change.
Anyway, I'm shocked that he didn't pick a team. I would have picked, if I was him, probably the Orioles, even though he won with the Yankees.
He couldn't make that decision. I think part of it was maybe a little bit of a feeling of betrayal from the Orioles. They didn't try harder to keep him. He probably statistically had better seasons with the Orioles to some regard, but he won his only 20-win season came with the Yankees. So and he won World Series with the Yankees.
Right,
so
that's where you have to go.
That's a big deal, obviously. But I couldn't disagree more when you say you don't think he belongs. I definitely think he belongs. And it's...
He didn't have 300 wins, though.
So what? Nobody's going to get 300 wins anymore. It's not going to happen. Guys are lucky to start 32 games a year. So even a 20-game winner is rare. I mean, you're going to see at the most 2 or 3 a season.
Right.
In Major League Baseball. So,
I agree with that.
To get 300 wins, if you win 20 games a year, that's 15 seasons. Now put with that these days a really good season is 18 wins. Now you just added 2 more seasons onto it. So that's 17. How many guys are even pitching 17 seasons these days?
No, not many. Not
many. Exactly. I mean, they bring them up later, and especially nowadays. I don't even want to sidetrack this into a conversation about how Major League Baseball is basically in the process of screwing over players right now, because that's something for the labor issue and something we can talk about 3 years from now. But
they're talking about look at the Mets this week. Just to jump off another topic, they basically said, well, we're not going to sign Manny Machado. Because, we have Jonas Cespedes, and he's not doing well. And
the Mets are screwing up. They
and,
really are.
We don't want to have a second contract that's big. then we might get screwed.
Cespedes' contract isn't big. It's short term.
I know that, but the Mets, Jeffy Wilpons thing. Let's be honest. This team is talked about. Oh, we've done this and this and this. They still haven't had the thing where, like when they picked up Keith Hernandez or Gary Carter, that thing that changes with Mike Piazza.
The seminal moment is what you're talking about.
They haven't done that yet.
No, they haven't. And while I think the Mets have had a pretty good offseason, this nonsense about Brody Van Wagenen claiming that the Mets are the favorite in the NL East is I don't have another expression for it. It's a load of crap.
Right.
All right, and Brody can talk all he wants, but he is selling the Mets fan base a load of crap. And I know the Mets fan base is smart enough that they realize that that's what he's doing, because the Mets have gotten better. They have not gotten immensely better.
No,
and they still
second place,
they still need to rely on a pitching staff that has never shown it can stay healthy. And if the Mets pitching staff can stay healthy, then yeah, they're a contender. But how many years have we been saying that now? The last 3?
Yeah.
So when is that going to happen? If it happens, if 4 Mets starters can make 30 starts, then yeah, the Mets are a contender. But the odds of that happening in the last couple of years, that's been a no way, no chance. We'll see. But Brody Van Wagenen, wow, that's some misplaced confidence. Anyway, I want to get back to Mariano.
Well, I do too. Because there was a point in his career where he wasn't thought of as the guy.
But it took time. Mariano Rivera is a guy.
I remember he was the guy
signed him for $3,000.
Right, he was the guy who would come in like the 7th inning, and then John Wetland
8th inning. Yeah, he was a setup guy.
And Wetland would come in the 9th. And I always thought that if Wetland didn't leave, that Mariano would still be the 8th inning guy.
The reason that Wetland was allowed to leave is because Rivera was ready. That was why. I mean, the Yankees weren't going to give Wetland a ton of money when here's Rivera sitting there all ready to go and be the next closer. So that was you spend money wisely, and spending it on John Wetland at that point wasn't wise, because hey, we got a guy that can do that job and do it at a small amount of money. But that was Rivera's role, and he was a guy who. He started out. I did some research after he was elected. Mariano Rivera, first of all, greatest postseason closer in history. 8-1, 0.70 ERA in the postseason, and that's 96 appearances, 141 innings. That's basically 2 seasons for a closer.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, 141 innings. The thing that you have to realize: 2 famous stories about Mariano Rivera. Number 1, he was left exposed in the 1993 expansion draft, brother.
Right.
And this was, you have to remember, he wasn't Mariano Rivera back then.
That's what I'm saying.
He was a Class A player. He was playing A ball. That was when they were the Fort Lauderdale Yankees. I think they were still back then. Or actually they might have just moved to Tampa. But either way, Class A, Florida State League, and he was coming off an elbow injury.
Okay.
So. He wasn't really wanted, but that being said, the Marlins were ready to pick him. But the Rockies, and you have to remember, those were the expansion teams, the Marlins and the Rockies. Right. But the Rockies picked catcher Brad Ausmus, who has later, has since gone on to become a pretty successful manager, a fairly successful manager anyway. And that meant that the Yankees couldn't lose any more players. So that spared Mariano Rivera from being a Florida Marlin. The other story is that Rivera was almost traded to the Seattle Mariners for shortstop Felix Fermin. And the reason that has become such a famous story is because the Yankees were kind of panicking at that point and saying that, we need a shortstop because we're not sure if this Jeter kid is going to be ready.
Right.
And the next season was 96, and that, obviously Jeter was ready. They brought him up. They put him in. They stuck him in there, the kid, and let's see what Joe Torre, famous line. Let's see what the kid can do. And there's another Hall of Famer. So because the Yankees didn't trade Rivera and block Jeter, because who knows if they would have traded Jeter if they would have gotten Felix Fermin.
In the old days, they might have.
Who let's face it, Felix Fermin was Horace Clarke as far as the bat was concerned.
I looked up Horace Clarke's stats last week.
I'm sure you did, bro.
You know what? He wasn't as bad as people think.
No, he wasn't awful, but he just
everyone
symbolized
thinks he's a 220 hitter.
He was
like a 260 hitter.
But he symbolized a lot of bad Yankee teams. So
that's true.
That's part of the problem.
Because he was there. But Mel Stoudemire could have been the same thing.
Well, Mel Stoudemire was
Mel
good.
Stoudemire was too.
He was
there
good.
also.
I know, but he was a really good pitcher.
Anyway, brother, let's take a break. We'll allow you to talk about Mariano when you get back. You're listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. And be the first caller right now at 516-572-7440 to win a 4-pack of tickets to see the Long Island Nets, the G League team of the Brooklyn Nets, as they host the Sioux Falls Skyforce on Thursday, February 21st at 7 p.m. at NYCB Live, home of the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. More information can be found online at longislandnets.com.
All hit music. For all those songs radio has forgotten about, join me, Big Ed, Mondays from 10 a.m. till noon for The Good Gold Show. We'll bring back all the great hits of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and more. The sounds of doo-wop to disco, all the Motown, soul, and great rock and roll. We'll even take your requests and dedications to The Good Gold Show.
Music.
On the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, and streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
Hello, this is Uwe Riggers, host of the German Hit Parade. Tune in every Monday evening at 7 to hear many of the most popular German recording artists of the past 60 years. Hört euch die schönen Lieder an. During our 60-minute show, you will also hear about the latest events in the German-American community, and you will never know who may turn up live at our studios or at what event we may turn up live. So tune in every Monday evening at 7 for the German Hit Parade on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC.
A Super Bowl champion, U.S. Congressman, publisher of Long Island Business News, award-winning authors, physical fitness, life coach, and celebrities like Billy Crystal and Eddie Murphy? I had no idea so many awesome people got their start at Nassau Community College.
Well, they're always saying that NCC is where success stories begin. With people like that as graduates, it must be true.
Hello, I'm Dr. Linda Nadian.
And I'm Aurora Workman, the president of Nassau Community College Alumni Association.
Together, we're the hosts of Lion Tales, a show that highlights proud graduates of Nassau Community College. Join us each week when distinguished alumni stop by to share stories, laugh a little, and remind us what things were like when they were students at Nassau Community College.
My fabulous friend Linda and I will also share the latest alumni news and updates, so tune in Tuesdays at 4 p.m. to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, or listen online with the iHeartRadio app.
Why should you volunteer with Meals on Wheels?
I'll come to the door with one meal and I'll walk away with a full heart.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org. Brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
.3 WHPC from the press box on your radio or on your listening device, the iHeartRadio app, TuneIn.com. Of course, it begins somewhere, and that's nccradio.org. Plus, this show becomes a podcast later on Spreaker.com, also on iHeartRadio.com, wherever actually podcasts can be found. So if you missed the show, you want to hear it again or whatever, give us a call, 516-572-0606. By the way, brother, Horace Clark, his stats are the following. He batted .256 lifetime.
Good for him.
He played for the Yankees 65 to 73. Then he came back in 74.
He was a mainstay.
Yeah,
but he was a mainstay on some bad teams.
Yeah, so that's not a bad thing. But and also I just want to do Sandy Koufax's stats because this is my problem with Sandy Koufax being in the Hall of Fame. His first 5 seasons were horrible. 2-2. I didn't even know he was on the 55 team.
Yeah.
I never talked.
He was young. How old was he on 55?
19.
19.
2-2 55, 2-4 and 56, 5-4 and 57, 11-11 58, 8-6 and 59, 8-13 in 60, and then 61 through 66. I mean, 18 and 13, 14 and 7, 25 and 5, 19 and 5, 26 and 8, 27 and 9. That's pretty damn good. but that's not really long enough, is it? He's 165 and 87, 276 ERA. He was All-Star from 61 to 66.
Longevity was always the issue with Sandy Koufax.
And in 63, he was Cy Young and MVP. He won the Cy Young in 65 and 66. So that's not bad. That is not bad at all. But you're right. It was a longevity thing. And
always was.
But I think of guys like Ron Guidry, who had that 5-year gap, man, where he was the hottest pitcher in the league.
He had basically like a 3-year stretch that was. I mean, the 25 and 3 year was ridiculous. That was 78.
Yeah,
and he was good in 79. But and this is what I said a couple of weeks ago about DeGrom. Don't expect that what he did last year. Don't expect it again. It's not happening.
Oh, yeah, you can dream, can't it?
You can, but you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Wow.
DeGrom is a very good pitcher, and he will be a very good pitcher this year. But to expect him to go almost every start and give up no more than 3 runs is delusional. Seasons like that don't happen twice.
Well, I know.
So I keep cautioning Met fans. You have a very good pitcher there. You have a pitcher who probably I don't want to say who should win 18 games because we all saw what happened last year when the Mets never could score for him. But Jacob DeGrom is an anchor, an ace. He is everything you want in a number one pitcher. But let's see what happens.
I have no problem with him. Do I expect 2 years like last year? No. But
you shouldn't. It's not possible.
But we'll see. Anyway, anything else about Mariano?
No, I mean, I just, to me, the main reason, or one of the main reasons, besides performance, because Mariano Rivera was a lights-out guy, and especially in postseason.
Right.
When, let's face it, in the postseason, you are facing more than likely the best offenses in the league. That's how teams get there, is by being balanced, by having good pitching and good hitting. So Mariano Rivera in the postseason, when it mattered most, he was the guy getting outs. And like I said before, 0.70 ERA. And there's the stat that which was crazy, that more men have walked on the moon than scored earned runs against Mariano Rivera in the postseason.
Hey,
12 men have walked on the moon, 11 earned runs in the postseason for Mariano Rivera. That's a crazy stat. And especially in 141 innings? That's insane.
No, I agree with you there. Who are the other guys who went in?
Roy Halladay, who pitched for the Blue Jays and the Phillies.
Right.
203 wins, which is actually the lowest number of wins for a Hall of Fame starter. And Halladay, unfortunately...
Well, Sandy Koufax had 165. So in the modern age,
I don't know, maybe first ballot then? I saw the stat. But it's a low total.
Right.
But Halladay was another guy who, for a good stretch, was one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball, and helped the Phillies to win a World Series through a no hitter. He was a guy that especially when he was on, he was untouchable,
right.
and always gave you at least 8 innings. I mean, he was a guy who he never wanted to come out of games, and he was when people talk about bulldogs, this guy was a bulldog's bulldog.
Right.
You knew when he was pitching that day that you were going to get at least 7, 8, and more than likely 9 good, strong innings. So, and like I said, he was a guy a few years ago, unfortunately and sadly, wound up dying in a plane crash. He was piloting the plane. I'm not going to get into the speculation, but some said that he might have been flying recklessly. Whatever the case.
We don't know. It's tough to know.
But the other one besides Mike Messina was Edgar Martinez.
Right.
And Mariano made a joke about Edgar Martinez getting in because Martinez was 11 for 19 against Mariano Rivera. So Rivera said he wanted Martinez to buy him a steak dinner because if not for Mariano, Martinez's batting average wouldn't have been as high. Which was kind of amusing because nobody was 11-19
Not
against
Pedro Martinez, Edgar Martinez.
Edgar Martinez of the Seattle Mariners.
Yes,
and this was his last year of eligibility. And the reason it took so long for him was because a lot of the voters were, he was a DH. He didn't play the field. And he played some third base early in his career, but he was such a great hitter and he wasn't the best defensive player. I mean, it's almost a Miguel Andujar situation as far as what's going on with the Yankees right now, and people are complaining about his defense. But Edgar Martinez was such a great hitter, just unbelievable hand-eye coordination, and what he was able to do with a bat in his hand was just magical. And he was a guy, clutch hits, just batting average 300. I don't even know how many times. I think it was 12 or 13 times. Just a spectacular hitter, and not just power numbers, although he did have decent power numbers too. But just a guy who, if you were in a situation where a team needed a hit, he's one of those guys that you did not even want to see at all. There were so many other guys on those Mariners teams. I tell you what, I would rather face Griffey than Martinez, especially in a clutch situation. Give me Ken Griffey Jr. and let me try and strike him out. But in that kind of situation, you're not going to strike out Edgar Martinez. So, but those will be the four elected players, and like I said,
10 times over 300.
10 times. I mean, and what's his lifetime average?
312.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
I mean, I don't know where that ranks all time, but I would say probably in the top, at worst in the top 50.
And a couple of people not put into the Hall of Fame yet. Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds.
Going to be a wait. They have 3 more years.
There was a great article by our friend Bill Madden, who wrote about how he thinks this is fantastic, that guys like Barry Bonds aren't being voted in, and neither is Roger Clemens, and a couple other people too, who might be up there too.
You know, I have my disagreements with Bill on that one, and it's from stuff that I read after the elections. There are guys in the Hall of Fame already that took banned substances. And the fact still remains that neither Bonds nor Clemens was actually suspended for it.
Right. It was legal at the time. So
well, that there's that issue as well.
That's part of it too.
But if you're looking at some guys, and there've been whispers about a lot of guys. And you know, and
Don't mention them.
I think we all know some of the names.
Yeah, we know.
But guys are in already, and if you're going to hold it to that standard, I mean, I can say with no doubt, if you want to hold that line, well then fine, but don't vote for guys who were suspended.
Well, I think part of it is that when you look at Barry Bonds, you look at his baseball card from 1990, you look at his baseball card from right before he retired, his whole head blew up. Your head doesn't get muscle.
Right.
That's something.
Yeah, his hat size increased.
Yeah, and
Clemens, that doesn't happen.
And Clemens seemed to have the same thing. And all these guys who were on the juice, they all, what I say, have the equivalent of kept running 100 miles an hour until it got to the cliff, and then they just went down totally. Their whole career was just over at that moment. It's something to do with steroids. Like it wears your body out. It uses your body until it just totally wears it out.
But the point that I'm making is that while there is pretty much no doubt that Bonds used, that Clemens used, that there are other players who never admitted, or were never. We
know some of the accusations.
Yeah, and like I said, if there are players in the Hall of Fame already, whether we know the names or not, or whether they got away with it, that yes, they use steroids.
Right.
And people were screaming about Andy Pettitte. Oh, he used HGH for a few days to try to get over an elbow injury.
He also talked about it, and yes. he said I used it from this day to this day.
He was very upfront about it. He's Andy Pettitte is one of the most honest people you're ever going to meet in your life.
Right.
If he says something, I believe it. All right. There are other people who are in this situation who I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him.
Well, Barry Bonds would be one of those.
And Barry Bonds would be one of them. I hate to say it. Roger Clemens would be another one.
Yeah, well.
Roger Clemens was all about Roger Clemens. He didn't care about anybody else.
Yeah, I know.
And it was a good quality while he was playing, but it's not such a good quality when you are being asked questions and you're being asked to respond honestly, and you're still trying to sell a line just because you think you can get by because you're Roger Clemens.
Right. Now, I just want to mention a couple of people who aren't in, who I'm not sure if it's going to be under the, I guess, All three will be under the Veterans Committee now. Gil Hodges, Thurman Munson, Keith Hernandez.
Well, I can tell you right now, Keith Hernandez will never make it.
Why not?
Cocaine. He was part of that whole drug. You don't remember?
I do remember.
I mean, we're talking it's 40 years ago now.
I do remember because when he signed with the Mets, people were worried they were still snorting.
He I think he has said that he was still partying at that point.
Partying's different than using it every day.
Indulging, let's say.
Indulging's different than partying.
Well, but the point being that when those drug trials happened, I mean, cocaine was in every clubhouse in the major leagues.
Right.
And the problem was that back then it was regarded as a party drug. It wasn't regarded as an addictive substance that,
Right. Cocaine
I read
is
a story
looked at
about,
differently now.
I read a story about Willie Mays Aikens.
Right.
He wound up, the feds wound up arresting him in his home, just like what happened to, what's his name, Roger Stone the other day. So that was a time in baseball. Drugs almost took the game down.
I know.
There could have been several arrests on every team in the league for what was going on at that point.
Cocaine was a different thing back then. It was a whole different thing.
It still almost ruined the game. And Keith Hernandez was a guy who was right in the middle of it.
Okay. Well,
so
I don't know.
he's as much as he meant to the Mets. The other issue that you have with Keith Hernandez, he was not a power hitter as a first baseman. And first basemen in the Hall of Fame typically are of the power hitting variety.
Well,
Keith Hernandez was a good hitter. He was a 300 type hitter. He drove in runs. He was a clutch hitter, but he was not a power hitter.
296. That's sad. Imagine you get that close. This bad year with Cleveland really destroyed him his last season. He played 43 games, 200.
Well, 43 games isn't going to destroy a career. But.
Well, 233 with the Mets last year in '89. So, I don't know. I maybe he goes in as an announcer. Who knows?
No,
no. Why not?
Because he says on the air more often than not that he'd rather not work the next day. He is the most reluctant announcer maybe in baseball history.
Who knows?
He wants to take naps while he's on the air. He openly
Who doesn't want to take naps? I'd love to take a nap right now.
He openly states that he would like to have days off and that he would prefer not to work tomorrow. Come on.
A late game
as an announcer
at Citi Field. Where's he going?
Come on, and as an announcer,
come on,
please be serious.
He can't party with Rusty anymore. Come on,
be serious. That's just ridiculous.
Anyway, he's a 296 hitter.
Who else did you say?
I said Gil Hodges and Thurman.
Gil Hodges should be in. There's no reason Gil Hodges shouldn't be in. I don't know why the Veterans Committee hasn't fixed that one a long time ago. And as far as Thurman Munson goes, me personally, it almost comes back to another Sandy Koufax situation.
Right.
Munson, the other thing, and I've said this before on the show, when you look, one of the criteria for Hall of Fame is supposed to be, was he dominant at his position for an extended period of his career?
Right.
And the answer for Thurman Munson is absolutely.
Definitely.
Because he and Carlton Fisk were the only two decent catchers in the American League while he played. And you could throw Ted Simmons in there if you wanted to from the Milwaukee Brewers, but catchers in the American League in the 70s, and obviously Fisk played another 28 years after that because I don't know, but not for any kind of great stats.
Right.
But Munson was he's an MVP. He was an All-Star. He was the guy who led World Series winning teams in 77 and 78. He was a guy who should, longevity-wise, I don't know if he would have had it because obviously when he died in the plane crash, his body was already breaking down, and they were trying him in the outfield because he couldn't catch because his knees were just shot. So he wouldn't have played much longer anyway. But there was a stretch of, I want to say, about 6 or 7 years where you could make a case that Thurman Munson was the best catcher in the American League.
Oh, definitely. I would definitely agree
so,
with that.
I don't understand why the longevity thing becomes an issue, especially at catcher when that's a position that breaks players down.
Right. I'm looking at Gil Hodges' numbers: 273 batting average, 8-time All-Star.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't realize that. I was like, wow, All-Star. He played the last 2 seasons with the Mets. Didn't play much. 63. Only played 11 games. So. I forgot he had 2 years of military service.
Yeah.
44 and 45. I forgot about that.
Missed a couple of years, so.
Yeah, so, that's something hopefully the Veterans Committee gets to, because it would be the right thing to do.
It's something that I think they should have gotten to a while ago. And I would like to see. I don't think Munson's ever going to get in, but I think he should have been in. It bothers me that Fisk is in and Munson isn't. When Fisk, you look at his numbers and you can say, yeah, he had great numbers, but the guy played like 23 seasons or something ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, he was a freak of nature just in terms of being able to stay healthy and not have the rigors of catching take their toll on him. But that was the only reason he played as long as he did.
Yep.
So, when you're talking about a guy who, for the last 10 years of his career, was probably hitting about 15 home runs and driving in 50 or 60 runs, all right, that's nice and all, and you can put up, 150 or so home runs and 500 or 600 RBIs, but is that a Hall of Fame career? No. Or a Hall of Fame stretch anyway? No.
Or is it like a Don Sutton, the guy who's there forever?
Yeah, that's basically what Fisk turned into. And I'm not criticizing him or saying he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame, because I think he does, because I think longevity should play into it. But to have Fisk in and not have Munson in seems like a disservice to Munson.
Well, Fisk, 269 batting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10-time All-Star.
Yeah.
Well, okay, well,
like I said, I mean, I have no problem with Fisk being in the Hall of Fame.
24 years he played.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I have no problem with him being in the Hall of Fame. But like I said, I think it's a disservice to Munson if Fisk is in and Munson is not.
I agree.
So
anyway, we're going to take a break. You're listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Tim, you're at Twitter at
Real Tim Leonard.
Okay.
Go.
Tell your friends about the Nassau Morning Madhouse. Hear what you're missing.
Check it out.
Check it out.
We all do things sometimes that we won't admit, right?
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. I actually have a list of the 15 things 99% of us all do. Number 7 is forcing yourself to make and eat sandwiches made out of the bread butt slices. That's the end pieces of bread.
I actually like the bread butt slices.
No!
I would rather starve.
Explains a lot, Colton.
How can you like the butt of bread? You just like to eat that butt?
It's 2017. All right.
Nassau Morning Madhouse. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9. On the voice of Nassau Community College.
90.3 WHPC.
This portion of programming on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by the Center for Workforce Development at Nassau Community College, which is offering a Certified Associates in Project Management course. Project management is an in-demand field with strong earning potential. Formalizing your understanding of project management, make a career change, or learn skills to help you stand out in your current role. This course will provide skills and knowledge that you can immediately apply on the job. This course begins Thursday, March 28th. More information can be found by contacting the Center for Workforce Development at 516-572-7487 or by visiting ncc.edu.
Yeah.
Hey, check it out. I'm gonna need you to turn up your volume.
No, I'm supposed to say that. Come on. Hey, look, check it out. It's your guy, DJ Steph, the saucy man himself. Tune into It's Saucy, where I play nothing but hip-hop and reggae music.
1, 2, 3, hit me!
Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. on the voice of Nassau Community College on 90.3 WHPC.
Listen!
90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College, from the press box on your radio or your listening device, or maybe you're listening as a podcast on Spreaker.com, among other places. I'm Rob Leonard. I co-host the show with my brother Tim Leonard. Hello, Timothy.
Hello.
And next week, Super Bowl's coming up, brother. Do we really care?
Yeah, of course. Do we really care?
Do we really care? We know the Patriots are going to win.
Oh.
Tom Brady.
Wow. What are you trying to, get on Croce's good side or something?
Is one of the greats of all time. Of course, we should say Croce is your mook friend.
Yes, he is.
From Boston. I'm not really excited about this game at all.
Did you see what Tom Brady did yesterday?
He's kind of a jerk, isn't he? Or a nerd, or an idiot, or...
He showed himself and proved himself to be one of the most uncool people on the planet.
Even though he's married to Gisele Bündchen.
It was sad. It was ridiculous. Tom Brady, somebody in that, and this is a mistake that I'm assuming that the Patriots won't make again, because somebody handed Tom Brady the microphone at, I don't know, it was like a pep rally.
Right.
I'm surprised they didn't have a bonfire or something over at Foxborough. But somebody gave Tom Brady the microphone, and he decided to try to whip up the Patriots fan base into a frenzy, and that's not a difficult thing to do considering how stupid most of those people are. But Brady,
who's stupider, brother? Red Sox fans or Patriots fans?
They're the same people. It's the same stupid.
Okay, just checking.
Tom Brady decides to chant. Apparently, the Patriots have latched on to this slogan, "We're still here."
What a stupid phrase.
What a stupid slogan.
That's what you say when you're not winning.
Well, yeah. So, because the Patriots are such underdogs. Yeah, anybody on Facebook Live can see me rolling my eyes right now. But it's ridiculous that the Patriots are really attempting to be this underdog personality when every year that they show how bad the AFC is. It's been a bad conference for more than a decade. So they beat Kansas City last week,
even though the AFC beat the NFC in the Pro Bowl yesterday.
Who cares? Come on.
Remember that. That's a very important thing.
You know how much I don't like to say the words "who cares," brother, but who cares about the Pro Bowl? Nobody cares. Nobody watched it. Did you see there was nobody there?
I don't think they gave away those tickets.
Well, but anyway, the Patriots, credit to them, they beat the Kansas City Chiefs, even though Kansas City never did actually touch the ball in overtime, and we talked about that last week. But Tom Brady gets on the microphone and starts chanting, "We're still here." And he's going on and on and on. We're still here. And I'm cringing as I'm watching this because it's I don't even know what the purpose of this is. And the Mooks in Boston are chanting with him. But then what does Brady do? He takes the microphone and he throws it. Like he just flips it,
Maybe
throws
they want to
it
break the mic
across the stage. And like I said, it was the ultimate old man move. Even Obama made his last speech when he was the president. And he said he finished up the speech and he said, "Obama out," and he just dropped the mic.
I forgot about that.
Just dropped it straight down. That's how you drop the mic. Brady threw it. The mic went 10 or 15 feet. I don't know what he was doing or what he was thinking, but he just flung the mic. Dude, you drop the mic. All right?
Right.
Somebody teach Tom Brady something.
Well,
teach Tom Brady not to be such an old man.
Well, there's a funny thing on the internet, and usually I don't care about the internet, but
yes, we know.
A young fan named Ace Davis.
I love Ace.
He did a project for school called "Is Tom Brady a Cheater?"
Well, no, it wasn't a project. It was a science fair, brother.
Oh, a science fair. Well,
so this is science that we're talking about
it's a
here.
School project, science fair, whatever. So
go ahead.
Tom Brady a cheater? And he actually had proof that he was, which I thought was pretty cool.
So yeah, but young Ace. By the way, I'm not sure that that's his actual name, but that's how it was in the story. He took his theory, and his theory was: is Tom Brady a cheater? And used the information from Deflategate, as I'm sure we all remember Deflategate. Yes. I'm actually at the Deflategate portion of Ian O'Connor's fine book, Belichick, which would be a nice purchase for listeners of the show to get themselves ready for the Super Bowl. I'll give Ian a plug. It's a good book.
It's a good book.
It's a good book.
Give him a plug.
But young Ace took the information from Deflategate and found, in his own research, that a football that is inflated to a lower PSI, but that's pounds per square inch.
Yes, I know that.
Is able to be thrown more accurately than a ball with a higher PSI. And especially Tom Brady, he's got those little small baby hands like Trump, that he prefers, he has stated this, he prefers a lower PSI in the footballs that he uses in games.
Right, because his hand can fit around it.
Exactly. So Ace's thesis came up as, quote, the Patriots were found guilty of doctoring footballs, thus losing $1 million in future draft picks. Tom Brady is indeed a cheater. Now Ace had his cardboard.
Right,
he had 3 panels of proof of
very impressive.
theory. It was a remarkable job for a 10-year-old.
I was very
and all the
impressed.
credit in the world. I'm glad that he won his science fair.
Yep. So, you know, I like I said, one thing that's good about this, if you actually go into the game, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta has this great thing. It's called not ripping the fans off.
It's amazing.
For food. You know, you go to any field around here, MetLife Stadium, Citi Field, whatever, Yankee Stadium. You know, beers are $14, nachos are $30,000, whatever.
Well, yeah, not quite that much.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Their prices are pretty damn good.
This was my favorite part of the Super Bowl.
Hot dog is $2. A bottle of water is $2. A beer will cost you $5. Nachos.
That's Bud Light. I'm wondering what good beer costs, but it's probably something similar.
And a pretzel is $2. You know, I used to always go for the pretzel.
Yes.
And then one day they realized that guys like me were just eating the pretzels, and they raised the prices on them too.
Jacked them up.
You know, it used to be horrible. So anyway, that's.
But brother, the man responsible for this, I'm going to give him credit, even though he's an owner, and I don't like most owners, is Arthur Blank.
Right.
Because he is the owner of the Falcons.
And he probably owns a stadium.
He owns a stadium. This is their stadium. It is also the stadium of reigning MLS champions, the Atlanta United FC.
Right.
But when the stadium was built, Blank insisted that the concessions be reasonably priced because he wanted families to be able to attend games.
Right. That's
that's part of the problem. If you're bringing a family to the game and you got to give your kid wants a $10 hot dog and a $9 pretzel and the soda's $7, well, now you're spending $20-something to just put some food in your kid's mouth.
Right.
And keep them interested for a little bit of time. You know what? $26 can get you steak in a restaurant. It shouldn't be the same price for a hot dog and a pretzel.
Imagine what a steak is at those Yankee Steakhouse.
But a lot.
Yeah, I know.
But Blank also insisted when the NFL was talking about having the Super Bowl in Atlanta, because let's face it, with the prices you just mentioned, the NFL, they could charge 4 times what they're charging.
Especially during the Super Bowl, because everyone who's there is not normal people.
No.
They're people who have corporate connections to the NFL.
And corporate credit cards.
And they
so
don't care.
money is meaningless to them.
They don't care.
It's like, steak sandwich, whatever. It costs $30. Yeah, who cares? Put it on the card.
Put it on my credit card.
But this is, and I don't know how many families are going to the Super Bowl. Probably none, or probably a handful,
7.
if that. But like I said, the stadium could easily charge 3 or 4 times what is being charged on game day.
And they're not.
So credit to Arthur Blank. A little round of applause for him. A little golf clap. And I like that. And that's the one fan friendly bit of the Super Bowl, because the tickets are ridiculously priced. And I've also read a story last night about fans who are being gouged on hotels, and people who made reservations are now being told that their reservations are no longer valid, and they're, instead of paying $500 a night for a hotel, now they're being told they have to pay $4,000 a night. It's ridiculous.
It's
the gouging is ridiculous.
The gouging's horrible. So who do we predict, brother? I'll let you go first. Quickly.
I'm going Rams. I think close game, because the Patriots always seem to play close games. But I like the Rams offense.
I do too.
And I think they're going to be too much for the Patriots defense. I'm thinking high scoring game. I'm going like probably 31-24, somewhere in that range.
I was going about the same, 31-27 I was going to do, but
All right.
I'll go to 31-24.
So we're on the same page,
We're on
brother.
the same page on that. Quickly, brother, Hofstra still is on a streak.
How about those Flying Dutchmen, a.k.a. the Pride?
Yeah, so that's not a bad thing.
Flying Dutchman and me. Coach Mahalik.
Yeah.
And a couple of the fellas were on Sports Final with Bruce Beck last night. I was watching them. But actually, Eli Pemberton, brother, made against Towson. That was win number, I think it was 16 in a row. Against James Madison. Made a 90-foot shot.
Right.
Grabbed the rebound 2 seconds before halftime and just flung the ball full length of the court, swish. That's when you know things are going well for your club, is when a guy makes a 90-foot shot.
Yes, I agree. And they're looking good, you know. Maybe they get to the NCAAs.
16 in a row. They're still going to have to win the conference tournament,
right,
which will be played in Charleston, South Carolina,
right,
because of the crazy conference they play in the CAA. But good things happening in Hofstra. They got the big game against Northeastern on Saturday at Northeastern. That's going to test the streak. But if they get past that, this streak could get into the 20s.
Yeah, I agree, because they go play Towson again.
Yes.
But the funny thing about
we're hoping
Towson,
to get Coach Mahalik on the air next week.
We've been trying to get him on the last 2 weeks.
Come on, Coach.
The funny thing is, when we drive down to Maryland to see our cousins, we always pass Towson. And, it is. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. And I always think about Towson, so... it's nice that Hofstra's beating up on them.
Yes.
I have to read this very quickly, brother.
Quickly, brother, go.
Don't forget about Rock Overdose every Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. You can truly never overdose on rock music. And our hosts prove it. That's Rock Overdose Mondays through Thursdays at 2 p.m. right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Tim, we have 2 minutes before Big Ed comes in and rocks the world with good gold. So what else should we not talk about? We quickly...
2 minutes. All right. Brother, Carmelo Anthony returned to the Garden last night.
I still say the Knicks should...
No, mistake.
The Knicks are not doing anything.
They're developing players.
They're not developing players.
They're trusting the process. Kevin Knox is being developed. Carmelo Anthony showed up at the Garden last night in street clothes. He sat. He watched the game from the front row as Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat beat the Knicks. As Kevin Knox developed a little bit more. That's what's going on with the Knicks this year. We're in full tank.
It's just a horrible thing to watch.
Full tank. Let it happen. Horrible. Zion Williamson is the goal. That's the goal, brother. Let it happen. What else?
You can't play for the draft.
The Metropolitan Division won the NHL All-Star Game. Matthew Barzal, 2 goals and 4 assists. Sidney Crosby was the MVP. He had 4 goals and 4 assists. Divisions play against each other, and then the 2 winners play against each other in the nightcap or whatever you want to call it. And the winning team splits $1 million.
Wow.
Which winds up being about $90,000 a player because there's 11 players. So they play 3-on-3.
That's not
bad. But Sidney Crosby had a lot of nice things to say about Matthew Barzal.
And they also booed Tavares.
Tavares. Lustily.
Which was fantastic.
Yes, nothing wrong with that.
It's a month away. He's going to be here
on Long Island.
He's going to get booed to hell.
Yes.
By the way, Gary Bettman is, you know what?
What?
Why are all commissioners jerks?
No, they're not. Not all. Gary Bettman is especially weaselly, though.
Yeah, he is. They were asking him about the Islanders. And they're like, well, we're not sure if we're going to let them play their playoff games in the Nassau Coliseum.
Oh, shut up, clown.
And it's like, what an idiot. Does he look at the attendance?
He should.
The 13th, literally every game at the Coliseum so far has been a sellout. The Barclays Center, they're getting 9,000 to 10,000. Just give Gary Bettman, I don't know, anything just to shut him up.
Yes, brother. The season resumes for the Islanders on Friday when they take on the best team in hockey, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Where?
Coliseum.
Exactly. Last thing, brother, soccer. United States men's national team
10 seconds.
defeated Panama 3-0 in the first game for new head coach Greg Berhalter.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, coming up next. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. I'm Rob Leonard. He is Tim Leonard, award-winning sports writer. And my brother. And he is my brother, and I'm his brother.
And a proud Maryland fan, even though they've lost the last 2 games in a row.
Yes, they lost over on Saturday. Anyway, coming up next is Big Ed with the Good Gold Show, so don't even touch your radio because Big Ed is big. He's big, man. He's big. Anyway, he'll have some tickets to give away. And thank you for listening. I'll see you Friday with Beatles songs. I'll see you Sunday with the free-for-all at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. And we'll see you in 167 hours with more from the Press Box. Take care and bye-bye.
The views expressed on air are not necessarily those of WHPC, its management, or Nassau Community College. Responsible opposing viewpoints will be considered by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu or by mail at WHPC 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York 11530. Thanks for listening to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
This portion of programming on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by the Center for Workforce Development at Nassau Community College. Do you have a passion for physical fitness? fitness? Have you ever considered becoming a certified personal trainer? Find out about a course that offers in-depth, hands-on, and practical labs to master the essential career skills and knowledge to become a certified personal trainer. This course consists of 15 hours of lectures and 15 hours of hands-on practical training. This new program meets in the evenings for 10 sessions beginning March 12th. For more information, call 516-572-7487 or visit ncc.edu.